Welcome back. Excited to be joined alongside former Razorback Jarius Wright. Little catching up segment. Jarius, first of all, for everyone at home, how you doing? How you been? What are you up to right now?
Man, I'm doing really, really good. I'm currently teaching and coaching football at Seven Hills in Sherwood, Arkansas. I'm really enjoying it, and it's been fun, and it's been good to me.
That's awesome. We love seeing the the former Razorbacks. I was going to say Razor former backs. Former Razorbacks giving back. It seems like it's a trend. A lot of you guys from that '08 to 11 kind of era are back in coaching. We got a chance to talk to, obviously Ryan Mallett, was your former teammate, was a coach at Whitehall. Got a
Yeah.
chance. Casey Dick is now coaching. Joe Adams also coaching. So a lot of you got into the coaching ranks. I want to ask you about your former teammate in Ryan Mallett. They're going to honor him this upcoming weekend at the Notre Dame game. What do you remember about your first interactions with your former quarterback?
Just kind of the first interactions were it was kind of funny because you kind of didn't know what to expect from the guy. You kind of hear certain things about people, and excuse me. But I just kind of didn't know what to expect. And my first time meeting him, he was, kind of different than what everybody said about him. And he was super nice, super fun, kind of a fun guy. He brought a lot of fun to our receiving core and our whole room. Just his attitude and the way he just kind of enjoyed each and every day was, I mean, it just was fun to watch.
You talk a lot about him being fun, but he's also a leader, very intense on the field. What do you
Oh
remember? Any
man.
great game stories that you remember from you and Ryan back in the day?
Like you say, he was always intense. He was always competitive. That was not one game that he was scared of. He was always ready for the moment. He loved being in the moment. That was one thing that I remember. And just to show what kind of teammate he was, I remember it was a South Carolina game, and it was my senior year, and I wasn't having my best game. I was kind of struggling a little early, and we call basically all verts, and he come to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming to you. You run as fast as you can," and he's like, "I'm gonna throw it as far as I can." And it's funny. It ended up being a completion, but that's just the type of teammate and the type of friend he is.
Last question I'll ask about him. When you look back at his life and what really was his legacy at Arkansas in your mind as the quarterback, as a captain, as a friend?
He's one of the best to ever do it, and I think that there's no better way to put it. Ron Mallett was definitely one of the best quarterbacks to ever play at Arkansas. Everybody didn't get a chance to see his leadership, but I guarantee you, he's one of the best leaders to ever be there too. Uh, I enjoyed playing with him. Not only that, I joined him at Whitehall when he was coaching at Whitehall. So, just his leadership and the things he bring, or the things I guess I should say, the things he brought to people, uh, it can't be replaced.
No, definitely not. Let's move forward a little bit. Let's talk about Arkansas right now, right? You're from the area. You're from Warren. You obviously played for the Razorbacks. Otherwise, why would we have you on talking about your former quarterback? But I got to ask you about everything kind of going on in Arkansas the last couple of weeks. You've got this team. They're 2-0, really hot to start the season. Then you go to Ole Miss. You lose a really tough game. And then it kind of snowballs from there. Your AD comes out and says you can't win. You're not financially in a spot to win a national championship. And then they go out, they lose to Memphis. What have you kind of made about Arkansas football the last couple of weeks? Is it seems like that the wheels are starting to fall off slowly, but there's still not a lot of panic because it's only week 5. We keep trying to stay present and not get too far ahead.
The good thing about week 5 is, like you say, it's only week 5, but that means you also have SEC play about to come into play, and you have a lot of SEC teams that's playing good football right now, and we aren't included in that list. And that's just my opinion, if you ask me. Um, I think it's tough, when your AD comes out and say we don't have any money to be good. I think I'll say that for another conversation. But but I don't think you come out and say those type of things at a time right now. Um, if you do have the money, why would you give it to the Arkansas football program based off those comments? So it's tough to get behind something like that. That's just my opinion, and I'll leave that there. But you know, if we hold on to the ball, I feel like 2 weeks straight, man, those are 2 wins, and it's just part of the game. And I understand that part, but also you cannot put the ball on the ground in those situations.
I was gonna ask, did it feel like deja vu when you're watching the game or watching the highlight and seeing Mike Washington put it on the ground? It's like for so much in the Sam Pittman era, right? 7-19 in one-score games. We've seen this play out. Whether you go back a couple of years ago to Texas A&M, I believe it was KJ Jefferson fumbled the ball on the goal line. A&M goes on and wins that game. In 2023, you get that a good amount. Last year, kind of the same thing. Texas, C.J. Brown, LSU, a turnover here and there goes wrong. Where does that come from, right? As a player, is that, does that start from the top of why you can't hold on to the football, or is that more of a broader thing of just, man, it's just this bad luck just keeps coming back?
Uh, if you practice it, you get better at it. Not saying I'm not throwing any shots at anybody, not saying that they're not practicing it, but I know for a fact if you practice ball security, then you will get better at it. And that's one thing we done when we were up there. We practiced a lot of ball security. It was another thing we done when we were in the NFL. Ball security was just part of kind of a daily practice. And of course, you have different factors. Sometimes you get hit really hard and fumble the ball, which that's kind of understandable. But you can't allow the ball to get punched out. That's just one thing that you can't allow happen. And I don't know if, like I said, I don't know what they're doing at practice to keep it from happening, but it's still happening. So it's definitely a problem.
The good news is the reality for the team is you're staring at 500. You've got a great opportunity this weekend against Notre Dame. If you were in that locker room, right, like what would the message be? What would your message, Jarius, be to this team who's 500, still all the opportunity in the world ahead of them to prove everybody wrong that this team can win good football games and they can beat good teams because the offense clearly it's electric, right? Like
Yeah.
what would your message be?
The good thing, like you say, the good thing about it is, uh, got a lot of football to play, and you show up and you play the game for a reason, and so that means that every time you show up, you have some chance at winning. So you find a way to get the troops together, and you let them know that we still have a lot of football to play. You can lay down, and that's the easiest thing to do, or you can be resilient and you can play hard each and every Saturday, and um, let the pass do the talking and the scoreboard do the rest.
Absolutely. Sam Pittman said, hey, the only way to control the noise is to win some football games. And that's
Yep.
the opportunity that they have in front of us. I got to ask, you're a Bobby Petrino player, a former player under Coach Petrino. Is it weird seeing him back on the sidelines in Arkansas gear again? Have you gotten used to this sight one more time?
It's not weird at all. I was so happy to get him back. Just somebody that we know um, that can change the program, somebody we know that can develop players, somebody we know that could get, turn some of the 3 stars into 4 or 5 stars. Having Bobby back, I feel like is a upside to this program. I feel like he really cares about the program. I know, he technically didn't leave us. He was kind of pushed out, and I get every situation, but I still think there was a place in his heart for Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it seems like the offense is back to where it was 10 plus years ago, one of the best in the entire country. I've got to ask you a few more before we let you go. Taylon Green, have you been watching him? Have you been keeping up with him? What impresses you about, kind of this modern day quarterback that Arkansas has?
I have been watching him, and he's fun to watch, and he's great with his legs. He also has a great arm. He's also his second year in Bobby's system, so I think he's only gonna continue to get better. We've seen sprinkles of him being really, really good earlier in the season, and we've also seen sprinkles of him making some some bad throws or some not good reads, I would say. But when you have a guy that can run like he can and can also throw the ball like he can, the sky's the limit. And he helps the offensive line, and he helps everybody else with just how good he is and how they have to game plan him.
You talked about Talon being in the second year under Coach Petrino. How important is it being in the same system for a second year, and how big is it for his, ultimate development that he is in that same system? Like for you, what was the big difference in that you noticed when you were in year two versus year one that Talon kind of that people are seeing that Talon's in year two as well now that he really understands it better?
Well, when you first get in the system, you're just so worried about lining up right and knowing what to do in the plays and just being in the right place at the right time. But once you understand the system and you understand all those things, when you line up, you can actually look and see what the defenses are doing, and you're able to read defenses and different things like that. And my third or fourth, and I know Taylor won't get this, but my third or fourth year in Bobby's offense, I could tell what defenses were what they were in. I could tell what they were trying to do and different things like that. And that really helped my game excel to that next level as a receiver.
That's awesome. All right. Last question I got for you, Jarius, before we let you go. What excites you about the rest of the year and the opportunities that lie ahead for this Razorback team?
We have a team that can win some games, and we weren't able to get it done, of course, last week and this past week. But those, like I say, two fumbles, and we're talking about a different team
Mm-hmm.
right now. It's crazy to say that, and I know it's part of football, and I understand all that. But if we can protect the ball, we can score some points and get a couple stops. This could be a season that we could be happy about and not frown upon and talk about and have to talk about the loss to Memphis.
Absolutely. The good news is there's plenty of football ahead. Big thanks to Jarius Wright for joining the show. That's going to do it for us. We'll be right back after this.